Welcome to the Higher Ed Conclave hosted by iSchool Connect. Our theme for today is undergrad during a pandemic. So we're going to be focusing on the effect of the pandemic on undergrad education, especially, and undergrad students. We have an esteemed panel of 10 distinguished personalities from India, 7 from India, and 3 from the United States.
We have Ms. Meera Mathur joining us from DPS Ghaziabad, an educationist with over 25 years of experience. She's always looking to provide children with quality education that focuses on combining the essential qualities that ensure that they emerge physically fit, mentally resilient, morally strong, and spiritually sound. That's a great way, and it's an amazing stuff that you're doing, Mrs. Meera Mathur. She's interacted with immense number of students during her teaching time, teaching English during her early stage of the career. Now she's the principal at DPS Ghaziabad. Her passions lie in teaching English, and she's developing books both in fiction and course material for students till date. Glad to have you here, Ms. Meera Mathur. I'll perhaps ask your perspective on this question again, that how has COVID-19 again changed the teaching pedagogy at your institution, and student management again, how are you tackling that during this pandemic, and how do you plan for it post the pandemic as well?
Oh, thank you, Vaibhav. And I really feel like the proverbial witch, Maleficent, came in, went out. You know, that's how life has been online all the time. So 12th of March, 2020, that's a date. I'm not going to forget it in a hurry. It was the first day of the new academic session. We'd had a wonderful action-packed day with the Satraram, welcome assembly, excitement of a new class, new set of teachers, timetable and the day plan. And it culminated in my seeing of the last school bus from the campus. And then suddenly the shock and surprise of COVID-19 and the subsequent unexpected and unprecedented closure of schools. Such a situation can only be tackled with clear vision, with planning, resilience, and adaptability. So 2 days later, my school had bounced back and taken to online teaching like a duck takes to water. And our pedagogy and approaches to teaching and learning were already using blended learning with flipped classrooms, station rotation, etc. So we always believe that the student is the agent and the teacher is the facilitator. We just shifted to total online transactions, gave a lot of importance to the exposition, the explanation, so that online transactions didn't dilute the delivery, descriptions, etc. We kept the children motivated by keeping them involved, like having breakout rooms for research, for debates and discussions, preparation of PowerPoint presentations and projects, personalized learning, and all that we could do. So the direction of all activity was a balance of individual and group work, peer collaboration and peer assessments, such that learners could reflect and critique each other. The sessions were made effective through the usage of different strategies to improve the LOs, or the learning outcomes. So we use new tools and techniques to connect, like Zoom, Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams. Collaborative learning has enhanced through the breakout rooms. And we use tech tools like Padlet, Wakelet, Flipgrid. In fact, I discovered that a new teacher emerged out of the COVID phase. This teacher was tech savvy and forever exploring new dimensions of education. So students shifted from traditional classroom transaction to an inquiry-based approach. And focus was on self-directed learning and research work. So e-learning modules were designed for deep learner engagement, keeping their interest of learning, their interest in technology. We used it to the ultimate. And there was a rise in the collaboration and communication skills during e-learning. In fact, my group of DPSG schools researched, and we brought out a manual on curriculum design called CD 2020. And this focused equally on foundational domains of visual and performing arts, etc., memberships of clubs, societies, emotional domains, the socio-ethical parts, citizenship domains. So we were recharged when the NEP also came out, and that was aligned too. This volatile world, which we often called a VUCA world, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, in this you can either shape up or ship out.
That's a wonderful perspective, Ms. Mathur. And Ms. Mathur, as a closing remark, what would you want, or perhaps what would you desire from representatives such as Stephen and Christian? How can they actually help your institution, your students, to fulfill their desires of pursuing an international degree, or perhaps again facilitating certain aspects when it comes to higher education? What would you want to hear from them? Your two pieces on that.
Thank you, Weber. If you've read Robert Frost's Mending Wall, it's written in a different context, but it's written with two neighbors repairing their fence, and they walk along and put in the stones and the pebbles and somehow bring the wall back together. I think that's what I'd be looking at. When we talk about cost, we must also talk about safety. Parents these days, students these days, they are in a dilemma. And if you ask me, Stephen, what is it that they're looking for? A paper on the wall or learning? I think somewhere a child is building a portfolio as well. So it's a bit of both. So when they build their portfolio, the university they come from, it remains with them wherever they go. I think the first thing a recruiter asks is, which university do you come from, or which school do you come from? So brands do make a name. But then the other thing is that learning cannot stop. Learning has to adapt. We've all been through, I had a very tough schooling. Children weren't to be heard those days. It had to be, they could be seen but not heard. But we've evolved so much. We'll have to evolve more. We will have to rise from the ashes like the phoenix. So what I would want is that we adapt to it. Nowadays, I'm working with certain universities to look for certain offshore courses for my children, because I have my alumni as well to cater to, not just my students. We have a very strong alumni connect. So what does the alumni want? Say, if they're looking for an admission or an entrance in the fall, then what do they do in the 3 months that are there between the declaration of result and actually joining? Could they go in for a certificate course that helps them? So COVID is going to have its impact. Parents are going to be worried, not only about laptop learning, but also about the safety of their child abroad. We have to cater in to all these things. We got to dream, and we do dream. I do at my age, and why wouldn't a teenager who's looking for a proper undergrad? So dreams are there, aspirations are there. And like I said, we treat ourselves more as facilitators. I suppose it's the job of the head of school, it's the portfolio of the counselor and the senior teachers to have a very open dialogue and communication with the children, arrange for education fairs, have people visiting and telling children the various options that are available. Because ultimately learning has got to be joyful. It's got to be fun. I've been hearing a lot about Zoom platform. We did experiment with that, but we shifted to Microsoft Teams, and we found it not only safer, but much more interactive, because it's got a whiteboard and it's got a notebook and things. So you can get children to write down. So it's something that needs training, and we had extensive training sessions. The children also respond very well to it. But along with that, a lot of my colleagues here have spoken about making these classes engaging for the children, because the deep engagement of child is needed. And I have also faced these situations where children are actually playing with a mobile and their screens are off and they're complaining about bad network, but they just don't find it engaging enough. So we have to prepare for a 50-minute class. I think a teacher takes about 2 hours. So what we do is we bring in a few quizzes in between. So we do Padlets and we do Wakelets and we do Kahoot quizzes. We also take feedback, because it's very important that you should not hear one voice droning on. In order for it to be interactive, you've got to have student engagement too. So we have bit of feeds coming in from them, maybe on answergarden.com or something like that. So they give one word or a sentence to us and we immediately know where we are. It helps us to reflect on the way our own engagement and transaction is going and to make quick on the spot changes. Another thing that we've done is, and this is not really technology, it's more to plan in such a way that we have a mid-session review and we give time for reflections. So we found that these little tools that we are using, and we are learning, we're constantly learning more. Maybe next time we meet, I'll have a few more things to tell you.
Sure.
So that's
Thank you so much.
Thanks.